President Cyril Ramaphosa has announced restrictions on the sale and consumption of alcohol in Nelson Mandela Bay. This will have a negative impact on the many businesses on the coast that rely on increased sales over the December holiday period. Wendy Alberts is with the Restaurant Association of South Africa and joins us now. Wendy, good evening to you. Thank you so much for your time. How are you reacting to the announcement by the President this evening? Some restrictions, particularly in the Nelson Mandela Bay Metro. Some restaurants are going to be affected in that area, but a blanket restriction could have been worse for the industry.
Absolutely. So there is certainly a sigh of relief. It's been a very long day waiting in anticipation for the President's announcement. And I think as we've received the news, we are spread with caution to ensure that compliance is met at all levels and standards are not deferred under any circumstances. It's been a very, very hard year for our industry, and any further lockdown or restrictions for the rest of the country and even for the current situation is certainly decimating the industry. So we cannot afford to move into any lockdown or have liquor restrictions. So we certainly feel that the call which has been made is really something that we need to communicate with very strongly over the next couple of days to avoid crowded spaces, avoid close contact, to do proper sanitization, and most importantly to stay out of confined spaces.
Yeah. Are you going to have a different approach going forward, given that the President really spoke about compliance? We know that sometimes people visit restaurants and they get too comfortable, you know, even when they're not eating, they'll take off their masks. Some people are allowed in some establishments without their masks on. Do you think there's a need for the industry itself and the restaurant establishment to also maybe take a stricter approach on top of the law enforcement that is there and the adherence of the regulations, and be a little bit more aggressive in ensuring that clients and customers and patrons understand that if you don't have the mask, if you don't allow it to be sanitized, then we are going to take a tough stance and not allow you in our restaurants?
I think this certain threat of the second wave comes with a huge responsibility for us to do everything possible to ensure the resurgence. We do not want to risk being closed down again. We have single-handedly rebuilt our own businesses. We've had no help from government, from our landlords have been tricky. The banks have foreclosed on us, and many suppliers have taken judgment and blacklisted our suppliers from obtaining credit to trade. So we've really had to do it on our own, and the restaurant industry has had massive support from the patrons and the consumer. And I think on the second approach, if there was major concern, the consumers would not have shown us the love and support that they've shown the industry in helping us rebuild as we've moved through the stages of COVID. And I think one needs to get to a position now within the country that we all need to start taking responsibility as individuals, collectively, as businesses, as small businesses, large business, corporates, as industry, as a country. And we need to start making adult-informed decisions on where we expose ourselves to and avoid the 3 C's that has really been critical, showing that the spread of COVID exists. We've called for the scientific evidence to show that there is a high risk of spread within the restaurants, which government can't present to us, or anybody can't present to us, to be honest.
Yeah.
So we have not had anybody coming into one of our establishments over the last couple of months asking for any of the registers that we have to complete by mandate, or come to any of our establishments through authority and advise us that there's been a patron who has visited our establishment, so that we can close down, sanitize, isolate, do proper screening with our staff. So these are twofold approaches that we're looking at. So one, as an industry, vehemently we will continue to exercise the strictest of protocols. We will use our right of admission sign. We will encourage compliance at all levels. But I think there's a whole part in the entire country's behavior that needs to change, and for the seriousness of COVID to be affected, so that we don't put unnecessary pressure on the economy, and we certainly don't decimate the restaurant industry, because it will be completely disastrous for us if we had to go into another lockdown.
Wendy Alberts, I really appreciate your time on eNCA this afternoon. She's with the Restaurant Association of South Africa. And with that,